Derrida's work Dissemination was published in 1972. It illustrates his approach to deconstruction and his critique of Western metaphysics. Through a series of essays, Derrida engages with the philosophy of language, the concept of writing, and the nature of meaning, exploring the instability of text and the impossibility of securing fixed interpretations. The book unfolds through complex analysis, blending philosophical insight with literary critique, as Derrida interrogates the idea of dissemination, that is, the process by which meaning proliferates, resists unification, and defies closure. The preface introduces the central theme of dissemination as a concept that disrupts traditional notions of meaning. He critiques logocentrism, the privileging of speech over writing, and situates dissemination as a challenge to this binary. Writing is not a secondary or derivative form of expression, but a primary force that destabilizes the apparent immediacy of speech. This sets the stage for the essays that follow, each of which explores the implications of this destabilization across philosophy and literature. The first essay, The Double Session, examines the work of Mallarmé and Plato to interrogate the relationship between writing, representation, and meaning. Derrida focuses on Mallarmé's poetic theory, particularly the interplay between chance and necessity in the production of meaning. He draws parallels to Plato's treatment of mimesis, showing how representation is always haunted by its failure to fully capture or reproduce the original. Derrida introduces the concept of the pharmakon, a term that oscillates between cure and poison, to illustrate how writing functions as both supplement and disruption. In this essay, Derrida demonstrates that meaning is never self-identical. It is always deferred, fractured, and dispersed through the act of writing. The second essay, Outwork, investigates the nature of prefaces and their relationship to the main body of a text. Derrida critiques the conventional notion that a preface is external or supplementary to the work it introduces. He argues that the preface is an integral part of the text, shaping its reception and interpretation. This analysis extends to the broader question of textuality, where no element of a text can claim absolute authority or independence. The act of prefiguring or framing a work becomes an example of dissemination where meaning escapes the control of its author. The third essay, Plato's Pharmacy, is one of Derrida's most celebrated deconstructive readings, focusing on Plato's Phaedrus. Derrida dissects the dialogue's treatment of writing and speech, particularly Socrates' critique of writing as an inferior and dangerous form of communication. Derrida highlights the ambivalence of the pharmakon, a term Plato uses to describe writing, showing how it resists stable categorization. Writing is both a remedy and a poison, indispensable yet suspect, supplementary yet disruptive. Derrida demonstrates how Plato's privileging of speech collapses under its own contradictions as writing reveals the inherent instability of meaning and the impossibility of pure presence. This essay exemplifies Derrida's deconstructive method, where close textual analysis exposes the tensions and aporias within philosophical arguments. The fourth essay, The Dissemination, takes the concept of dissemination itself as its subject, exploring how meaning proliferates beyond the control of authorial intention or interpretive frameworks. Derrida uses the metaphor of the seed, which disperses and takes root unpredictably, to describe the generative but uncontrollable nature of language. This essay engages with literary texts, showing how their meanings are not confined to singular interpretations but open up infinite possibilities for rereading. Dissemination in this context becomes a challenge to the metaphysics of presence, which seeks to anchor meaning in fixed origins or ultimate truths. Instead, Derrida celebrates the excess and multiplicity of meaning, embracing the play of language as an emancipatory force. Fifth essay, signature event context, Derrida delves into the philosophy of language, particularly the relationship between context and meaning. He critiques the idea that meaning is fully determined by the context in which a text or utterance occurs, drawing on the concept of iterability, that is, the ability of signs to be repeated in different contexts. Derrida shows that meaning is always contingent, provisional, and open to reinscription. This essay has profound implications for theories of communication and interpretation, as it undermines the notion of absolute fidelity to authorial intent or contextual determinacy. The sixth essay, Living On Borderlines, explores the boundary between life and death, presence and absence, and the material and immaterial aspects of writing. Derrida examines how texts persist beyond the life of their authors, taking on lives of their own through acts of reading and interpretation. It highlights the spectral quality of writing, where absence becomes a condition of possibility for presence. Derrida uses the metaphor of the border to show how texts inhabit liminal spaces, resisting closure and defying attempts at totalization. The final essay, The Rhetoric of Drugs, revisits the concept of the pharmacon, extending it to broader cultural and philosophical questions. Derrida examines the rhetoric surrounding drugs, both literal and metaphorical, to explore how societies construct oppositions between purity and contamination, health and illness, and order and disorder. He draws parallels to writing, showing how both are treated as dangerous supplements that disrupt established norms and hierarchies. This essay ties together the themes of the book, emphasizing the pervasive instability and multiplicity of language and meaning.